Assassins are lethal once again with nerfs to Blade Masters and big buffs to Wardens. In this Pro Guides video, we'll cover one of the best builds out there right now. This insanely fun to play comp centers around shredding through enemy teams, big crits, and getting to a fully stacked, near unkillable Zed in the late game. In the current meta, many late game comps were buffed, so we took to the battlefield and tested out one of the highest damage builds that also acts as a counter to other strong teams as well. In this video, we'll go over what changed with Assassins and Deserts, what the new strengths and weaknesses are, and the best ways to put this comp together in patch 10.2. But first, I'd like to remind you to click on the link in the description below and take a look at the updated ProGuides.com. If you want to learn more about teamfight tactics, ProGuides will always have info on the newest patches, best builds, and strategies. There are all kinds of different resources available from top players to help you be the best player that you can be, including coaching, so make sure to check out ProGuides.com using the link in the description underneath this video. Assassins and TFT are a bit of a different playstyle than you might be used to. Instead of your pretty standard tanks in the front and DPS in the back setup, the Assassins will jump at the back line of your opponent's board right as soon as the combat starts. If your opponent isn't prepared for this type of attack, then you can pretty easily wreak some havoc on their weaker damage dealers. With the changes in patch 10.2 giving huge buffs to both Assassins and Deserts, let's quickly recap the bonuses to better understand the build. Critical strike bonus damage has been increased from 50% to 65% at 3 Assassins, and from 150% to 225% at 6. Crit bonus damage is the same stat that a completed Infinity Edge gives, so think of this as getting extra IEs on all of your units. To further complement all the damage we'll be doing, this build also adds in the new and improved Desert bonus to reduce armor. In the recent patch, Desert units reduce armor at 40% at 2 and by a full 100% at 4. Basically, this means that in the late game, our Assassins will be doing huge bonus crits into 0 armor for true damage. Okay, so let's jump into some of the more technical aspects of putting this all together. Since Assassins are extremely weak in the early game, we actually will need to plan ahead a little bit to get this one rolling. Powerful early game units will be a massive help here, and since most of our core units don't show up until later in the game anyways, Predators or Woodlands to get us through the first couple of carousels are a fantastic way to stay up on gold and HP while beginning to collect those Assassins on the bench. An alternate way to get through the early game is to look for 2 Wardens to go with your strong 2-star units and then play around getting early item picks in the carousel. This defensive strategy will lose a bit of HP early on, but this build is critically dependent on items in the late game, especially BF swords, so getting early item picks will have huge returns later on. If you do go Preds early, look to put in Nocturne as your 4th or 5th, since the steal bonus passive and extra seconds of invulnerability will help to win a few extra rounds, and you'll be collecting them as one of your Assassins anyways. If you go Woodlands, look for LeBlanc for the exact same reason. You'll also need to make sure to collect Renekton early on when you see him, even if he doesn't get added to your lineup and he just sits on the bench. This is very important, and even if it's just a single 1-star copy for 1 gold, because he becomes very hard to find in the late game as we'll see higher cost units instead, and we do need him to complete the 4 Desert synergy. If you do get some early AP items, stack them on the Diana, as both her damage and also survivability from her shield scales off of ability power. The initial early game build and items are shown here using the new team builder tool from ProGuides.com. Diana and Kiana both will want any AP items that you get, while Sivir or Azir are happy to take attack speed if you get it. The best Sivir item in this comp, however, is Swordbreaker. As you'll notice in some of the gameplay footage near the end of this video, her spell splashes Swordbreaker procs across multiple enemy units, shutting down entire teams as our Assassins delete them from the map. In this video, I'll also touch on a secondary adaptation for the 6 Assassins build, which does depend on which champions you find throughout the mid game, and also which comps you see your opponents going for as you scout out the lobby. This second option will most typically be rotating in 2 Mystics instead of the 2 extra Desert units, so in lobbies that have a threatening Inferno or Ocean Mage opponent. So, as always, remember to scout early and often. Scouting can be done quickly by pressing 1 or 3 on the keyboard, and is one of the key mechanics that newer players often forget to use. As always, knowledge is power. At level 6, you'll most probably be the most powerful player in the lobby with this setup, but as others upgrade their champions and gear, you might lose a few rounds, and that's totally okay. Just keep upgrading your units and buying XP, and staying above 50 gold for the bonus economy income. Around this point, the build really starts to come online as you get 3 Assassins, 2 Deserts, and 2 of another combination depending on the map. So for Deserts, it's usually Azir and Sivir, but you'll definitely put in Kha'Zix if you get lucky enough to find him. For a moment now, we'll take a quick look at the Mystic option, which adds survivability to an otherwise very squishy team. With this option, our overall bonus stats from synergies does drop, but at this point, take note of the map's elemental, since an Ocean Kiana will give Nami and the rest of the team a very nice boost to mana regeneration. Additionally, with this build, you'll always have a Kiana to give an additional synergy with whatever open slot you have through mid-game around level 6 or 7. So look to match up here with an Infernal, a Cloud, an Ocean, or even a Mountain for some free extra stats. Otherwise, the full power of 6 Assassins really depends on getting Zed in the very late game, so the build will fluctuate between 2 to 4 Deserts, 3 to 6 Assassins, and 2 Mystics or 2 Steel depending on which units you find or have managed to hit 2 stars with. Items at this point are very, very important. So make sure to have your game plan set and scheduled right from carousel number 1, and grab the key items right away, which usually starts with a BF sword. Infinity Edge on Kha'Zix is when our team really starts to come up to its fullest strength and starts win streaking again, and he gets an even bigger boost with Seraphs, allowing him to bounce all over the map, nearly untouchable and chunking everybody with huge bonus damage critical strikes. The next key items are Guardian Angel and Redemption for Zed. Remember that Zed doubles up his items onto his clones, and both GA and Redemption work together to keep him and all the clones alive for even longer, giving extra time for the clones to double, quadruple, and multiply the longer that rounds go on. Once you hit this sweet spot for power, immediately shift back to focusing on your economy, because if we can get to level 9, we turn things up to a whole nother level. At level 9, not only will your odds of finding Zed increase drastically, helping you get that 2-star bonus, but you'll also be able to fit in both top tier newly buffed bonuses, the 6 Assassins, and 4 Deserts. In this gameplay footage, you'll see our Kha'Zix hitting 700 plus crits into an enemy team with 0 armor, and our comp acing teams while losing nearly 0 units in exchange. With GA and Redemption on Zed and his clones, we have a massively unfair advantage in the late game fights, and Zed with 6 Assassins, 4 Deserts, shreds enemy teams. In the last carousel, we get the choice of another IE for Kha'Zix, but instead we take the Seraphs to have him bouncing all over the map, hitting for massive 1700 damage crits. This set of bonuses is just way too much power for even the toughest lobbies to handle, and in the final fight, we barely use a single unit again on our way to overkilling our opponent for more than 21 big damage right to the face. Try this one out for yourself and let us know your results in the comments below. And make sure to check back right here on the ProGuides.com Teamfight Tactics channel for the newest guides in patch 10.2. Make sure to like and subscribe here on YouTube and use the link below to head on over to ProGuides.com, where you can find tons of great resources from top players to help you be the best player that you can be. So make sure to check out ProGuides.com using the link in the description below. Again, thanks for watching. I'm Vincent Grand. Cheers, and we'll see you next time.